what will happen is, please come. You're the first one. And you can come here. Not here, but they should the queue here. Just come here, please, because of the live. Just come. Yeah, they can facing that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So mine is both a question and a contribution. So before this session came, I thought we needed to be educated on. I thought we needed to be educated on the significance of Israel to Christianity and now to the Christian movement in Africa, so that we understand the significance of the movement. You know. And I was having a conversation with someone a while ago, and I said that it shouldn't just be a supposedly blind followership of Israel in that sense. We should have an understanding of the significance of Israel to a Christian cause. So I just did a small research about this a while ago.
Yes, you can ask a question.
Okay. So we need to be enlightened on that, and I believe that this panel will do a good job on that.
Yes. Okay, so my brother Eli, just come. Do you have anyone you want to ask? Anyone can answer the question. Okay. My panel, who wants to take that question? The question is, what is the significance or the role of Israel in Christianity? Right?
Yes.
Yes. Daddy? Oh, yeah.
It's the most important nation in the world, linked to both the Torah and the Bible. That's why it's the plumb line for everything we do, how we have a relationship with this nation, and how we treat the Jewish people. That said, it's just a very simple thing, and that's why it's so important to see I would say, the war against Israel, the war against the Jewish people, the war against the Christian, and the war against the West, because this is a process going on. So we need to say the church, the Christian church, will never replace the Jewish state, the Jewish people. And a lot of Christians around the globe has taken that as the new kind of theology, speaking it out. We had this issue coming up here yesterday. They said, we are not coming because you, ICC, are supporting Israel. And we said, that's not a problem. That's right, we are doing that. We will never change. So I think the role of Israel, there's a tendency today to say, I was in a meeting in Europe, and people said to me, Israel have the same importance as Sweden, Norway, or Switzerland. I'm saying that's wrong. Because the center of the earth, of the news, is Jerusalem and Israel. The future of trade will be based upon in Jerusalem 24/7. That's happening soon. Thank you.
I was just saying, in the interest of time, we should go to the next question. But because at the end of the day, he said what is there. Firstborn will always be firstborn no matter what you do. You'll be wasting your time trying to say, I want to be firstborn. No, you are not. We're the same. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Firstborn is firstborn. Your position, just find out what you're supposed to do. I was privileged just about 15, 20 years ago to be in Stellenbosch for a meeting with, about 200 of us, with some of the members of the Knesset. Rabbi Elon was then the minister for, I think, tourism, and then, a few others, including the one who is the father of UAVs. Anyway, and I was asked what I thought Israel could do. I said, I love the aspect of sentimentally saying, oh, we stand with you, oh, we are praying for you, and all of that. It's good, and we will continue to do that. But beyond that, practically speaking, you need to start doing some things. One, there is an aspect of the Bible that is a gift to the rest of the world. You believe, you don't believe some parts, it's neither here nor there. The most important thing is that there is something that you have a unique selling point, the Bible. Number two, there are projects that have to do with agriculture and water that you have a unique place for. Because simple things like just, boreholes in the north of Ghana and Burkina Faso, Saudi Arabia and some of those places began to take over. So they took that. That's how the Bible Valley Project, came up. And we thank God for what is happening. So there are practical things that could be done in addition to the spiritual connection. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Yeah, you can come. Gilton Chakaza from Malawi. We say Malawi is the warm heart of Africa. I'm marketing now.
Thank you very much, everyone, for giving me the opportunity that I can ask a question. Of course, I've read about Israel. I've followed about Israel. My second born is also named Israel. But the question is, regarding business and trade, what opportunities are there available for ICC countries represented here and others who will be available in future? What opportunities are there for us from Israel, which ICC International Board or Africa Board can coordinate, because we are very interested, because this forum is about business and trade, right? So we want to understand very clearly what is on offer from Israel, what is on offer from ICC, so that there's that network of connectivity that we get through Israel to us through ICC, from each and every African country through ICC to Israel, so that there is a mutual benefit at the end of the day, be it spiritual or physically. Thank you very much.
Who wants to take? Oh, Neva, you want to?
Thank you for your question. I think I can answer about the first half of your question. And it's basically what Israel can offer. So basically what Israel can offer to the African countries is, first of all, a lot of knowledge and education to the technical teams. So it can go from infrastructure. I know that a lot of African countries are struggling with energy and water issues and challenges. Israel is it's a pioneering when it comes to green energy and desalination projects. So we have a lot of Israeli companies and Israeli experts that basically providing this knowledge. I know that some embassies also are responsible about basically listing some experts that will be educating and providing workshops for local teams in the countries that we're serving in, so we can teach them better and basically expose them to the latest technology when it comes to infrastructure. John, you mentioned Sheba Medical Center and their projects when it comes to heart surgery. So this is also something that we're doing. If we're turning into the business level, so basically there's a lot of cooperation that obviously starts with NGOs and with philanthropic purposes, but very fast, basically they're reaching into trade relations and business relations when it comes to establishing different hospitals, field hospitals, remote monitoring of different diseases. Think about a very, far, like rural areas that doesn't have any ability to get to the nearest hospital, and even if they get to the nearest hospital, not necessarily they have the relevant equipment. So that a lot of Israeli companies basically know how to provide this equipment, so basically can offer first aid to these people. And again, as I said, in the very far areas that, far from the metropolitan areas in those countries. But I would say that the Israeli spirit is once you're reaching your hand and asking for help, and you're expressed an interest in collaborating, so there is always someone from the other side that will be there to assist.
Thank you very much. Jan Storison, as ICCC President or Chairman, please can you answer also from the ICCC perspective?
You can add to this, Herman. I think from the ICC perspective, We, all members in IC, can ask whatever question you need regarding by business by different sectors, by industry, or by technology. And we have been granted good comments and contact persons from the Manufacturers Association, the Export Institute, the Chamber of Commerce. So if we have an issue, we look for the latest technology in desalination plants, or batteries, or storing of electricity, whatever. You will find resources in Israel linked to that collaboration. We call it the Land of Innovation Desk, which means it's open 24/7, but it does just from members to our office. What we think now is to put this in place in a bigger way and make it practical in Jerusalem, which means how can we organize our things so first of all, members of IC and the business ministries and companies and so on who are members or just want to tap in to our relationship to create some fruit for the future. We think that's important. And a very, very important reason for us is when we see now, nation by nation, say, well, now it's time to turn our back on Israel. Then it's time for ICC to scale up, to say, now it's time to turn the back on those countries who say no. And we make a twist, and we talk about a BDS, which is very important for ICC, which we know from the beginning was about boycott, disinvestments, and sanctions. And when I had a privilege to speak to 4 or 5 ministers in Israel some years ago, I said, we have changed the name of BDS. It's bless, direct invest, and serve Israel. That's where we're going. Thank you.
Just a quick point of clarification. Do we have a business directory for all the ICCC members?
So what is on your task in the national chambers to connect with us on international level? The chairmen are in charge, first of all, but you should appoint a contact person, which may be at one point be an ambassador to Israel program, but we have some requirements on that. So John is responsible for the chamber function, and he's the right man, like we just now experienced. He is the anointing, he has the setting for that. So use these groups from sectors, industries, and all the areas. So join these groups internationally. They are there. If you are not linking up, so it's your thing. It's your being active to our network, which is already there. We are setting up right now, not only to having these contacts in Israel established, but also we are working on a digitalized platform so that we have a pre-arrangement before getting on a personal guided connectivity into Israel. So we want to prepare and then to connect, like there are a lot of like Arise, Startup Nation Israel, and Startup Nation Central, and others we know we could connect. So does that answer your question?
Yes, very good. And I will also add to this that this man, he will make sure that we get an inside the ICC tent in our 65 to 70 nations, we will get an Israel ambassador to be making those connections, number one. Number two,
we are not a role for title.
No. And we think it's about also how we can have a digilog, an analog, which is persons in the nations, and they have a digital platform. And we strongly believe in AI. And AI for us, we mentioned, we would like to say it, because AI comes out of kind of US and Israel technology. And we know that AI means almighty intelligence. And the second, it means, like you and I, authentic intelligence.
Thank you, yeah.
So we try to capitalize on these issues now, saying we have to be very cautious when we go on these different technology routes, but then Israel is becoming a blessing to the nations. And that means also an ethical responsibility for us together, how we go about it. But we look forward to see you, Jan, in this function. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so Africans, don't look up to Sweden or international office, and say, I want millions of euros. Right? That's what we normally do, right? Europe has got money, right? Germany. No. we should take personal responsibility. We should be the ones deciding to them to say, we have grouped ourselves, we have identified this to do, and we are just letting their blessing to say, do you think we should do that? Because we have a lot of money in this continent. We have it here. I can tell you now, practically speaking, our brothers from Chad asked about how investments and all that to go there as ICCC. Then I asked them to say, please, can you help me, my office as Africa Region Office, to create a database, and we can link up with our brothers from Germany. They did a good work during the Hanover meeting in November last year. They can, to get some kind of, it's called a tool or something, we can create our own business directory for ICCC Africa. We don't need to wait for Jan or the International Board to do that, right? We can do it. And practically, we don't also need to wait for the State of Israel to give us projects to do, because, you know, the Jews, the Israelis, they are very fast. They are already here. They are already in our neighborhood. Now, practically speaking, I can tell you, in healthcare, in pharmaceutical industries, in fintech, in ICT, currently this year, there are Israeli multinational corporations like Haim Taibu in Switzerland. They are looking for investment opportunities in healthcare manufacturing, fintech, microfinance, ICT. And we have already, the countries that have already responded as I'm talking now in Africa, South Africa is the first one, Malawi, the second one, Chad, and Zimbabwe, right? And they have identified, for example, South African drugs manufacturing facility, which South Africans is also owned by, I think, Israeli. Now they are going to be in Malawi, and they are looking for skills across Africa who can be in their boards, who can be connecting those investment opportunities, minimum of $2 million to $100 million. We are looking for opportunities you can bring, so we don't need even to bother them. They are already here happening, but we need to get organized. As the Pastor Dr. Abu said, the problem is we talk and decree, but no action.
You have the knowledge, you have everything, but people get to know what is there so that we can do. Because sometimes it's ignorance on the other side. But you have the way of responding. Everything's there. On the other side does not know that the things are there.
Yes.
Does not know the expectations of the people. The nature is the collectivity. So let the information be made available.
So, as Johnny said, here is the man, John Kawia.
Great.
Right?
Done.
Come. Thank you.
I'm going to come this
Oh,
side.
sorry.
It's okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. And the International Board and Dr. Baku and Nava, I have a posed question for you. I've been in the privileged position of being led into health by divinity. I nearly died in a car accident. And God led me to change my career into healthcare. And we live in a world of illness, not of wellness. And we talk about birthing. And we talk about the miracle of birth in women. And I have to share with you that for the last 2.5 years, I've been working with an Israeli woman who has invented the very first women's diagnostic tool to predict cancer, to predict fibromyalgia, and it's read off really blood assays that come from a menstrual cup. And she has had to approach me through a South African environment to try and get this project underway because there's been no funding for it. So Hilton, we talk about solutions for our country. And I step out of my comfort zone as someone who's not a public speaker, but over my years, I've been invited into environments to talk on behalf, of wellness. Now, this is the very first, ladies and gentlemen, in the world. And this is an Israeli woman who doesn't have the funding. She's approaching South Africa. And I'm just really blessed enough to be a part of a team. I have people and universities that are willing to do the diagnostic testing. She needs help to get this out, into the world. And, we talk about the fact that young people can actually have a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, endometriosis, and not only that these people can have it at home, that they don't have to go to clinics. They can have the diagnostic done via an app. Can you imagine finding out that there's a predictability of cancer before it happens, and that you can do this from your home? And the fact that we can actually manufacture the product here. So I'm asking you, are you willing to help Hilla from Girls Bio, and I can represent from the ICCC as a project?
Thank you, Deborah.
Wow. First of all, it sounds like, thank you for a question, and I think it sounds like an amazing technology, an amazing device to use. Obviously, what we're doing here is also to help Israeli companies and to, first of all, identify their product market fit and to understand in which stage of the product they are. Usually, if we're looking into raising capital and to looking for investments, so obviously it depends on the country that they're serving. So in that case, that will be South Africa. And from my experience, I'll be more than happy maybe to discover otherwise, but it's very hard to raise capital from South African entities when it comes to healthcare, and it's a very specific problem. But I attached at the end of my presentation my email, johannesburg@israeltrade.gov.il, so you can share all the information, all the files that you have, and we'll be more than happy to have a call and to understand exactly in which stage she is and how we can assist.
Thank you. Yeah, she's from Israel. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thanks for the answer.
Thank you. Now, my company presents exports on fruits and different products, and I saw on your slide in, I think, 63, you guys were exporting citrus. So what is currently available in the fruit sector that we can export and that we can use in Africa?
So, first of all, there is a difference between the African countries. I will just say that the Ministry of Agriculture in Israel, it's the one that basically dictates or decides which fruits you can import into Israel, because obviously there's a lot of tests that needs to go through before we're importing. Also, there is a difference between dried fruits and juice and obviously fresh produce that we're growing. In South Africa at the moment, I can't remember the list by heart, but I can tell you that citrus is I'm not sure if we're still importing from South Africa. Definitely grapes, nuts, blueberries. I think it's in the process. Avocado. I know that there are a lot of South African entities and farmers are basically submitted an application to start assessing. It hasn't been approved yet. That's relevant for South Africa. Obviously, it's different from country to country. I can only tell about South African, but I assume the situation will be pretty much similar to the rest of the African countries. Again, I think the most important thing, and I think South Africa can understand us in that aspect, is the fact that the process is very, it's very neat and very precise. All the tests that the farmers needs to do before they're shipping into Israel, their shipping conditions from the port in, Mombasa to Israel and so on. So that's something that needs to be, needs to be inquired country by country. Obviously, when it comes to South Africa, so we are the person to reach out to. I will just say that the embassy in South Africa is also responsible for Madagascar, Mauritius, Lesotho, and Eswatini. and we just opened a new embassy in Zambia. Basically, will cover Zimbabwe, Namibia, Botswana, and SADC. I mean, it's the steering member. I'm sorry. Our embassy in Nairobi, in Kenya, responsible for Malawi, Seychelles, and Uganda. And we have another embassies in Cameroon, in Angola, in Ivory Coast, Ghana, Nigeria. So you can reach out, and basically it works that way. So even if you don't have an embassy in your own country, so probably the neighboring country will be basically the one will be responsible for covering it. So that's what I can offer.
Sorry, can I just add one or two other things? So I want to ask another question, but maybe just on the practical side, what we've done, myself and my wife, we spent 40 days in Israel. We went and looked what is available. So we signed up 2 wineries, Golan Heights, Zion Winery for kosher. So I want to ask you a question about kosher. But also on the water side, we signed up with a company called Filter Art. So take hematose out of the water so you can have a better crop. So maybe it's stuff that's practical stuff that we've done from our side to say, we want to invest in Israel. How are we going to bring it to Africa? So I want to ask you about kosher around Africa and into Israel and out. So how's the product situation with it, what it is, and what's the processes we need to go through for kosher?
No, so obviously kosher, it's a whole process that basically needs to be determined only after you get the approvals. Like, let's say that we're talking about kosher wine, right? So let's say that South Africa needs to obtain first an approval to import wine at all. Once it's been approved, then we're looking into kosher wine, and then it basically goes to the Rabbinical Institute in Israel. They need basically to send someone to South Africa, on that case, to basically see the process of the manufacturing of the wine, see that everything goes according to the halacha, to the biblical laws in Israel, and to the Judaism. And once it's been confirmed, they can basically either approve to import, or the other alternative is to work with the Rabbinical Institute in the relevant country, and basically once you have the kashrut from them, then you can import that into Israel, export that into Israel actually. So that's, I would say, the situation that also happens in the UK a lot of times, that the Rabbinical Institute will basically rely on the kashrut in the country, again, because they know how the institute in the UK works, so basically it covers. But I will just say that the kashrut and everything it's a whole different process that I'm not really into the details of it, but this is generally speaking how it works.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. First of all, my name is Richard, and I'm from Madagascar in the Indian Ocean. I'm sorry if my English is not very well, because we don't speak English in our country, but I'll try to do my best to be understood. Secondly, we have the opportunity by the grace of God to be here. The core team of ICCC Madagascar. I'd like you to stand up so everybody can see us. Okay, well, thank you. According business, I am in the mining sector, artisanal and small-scale miner sector. I've been there for 30 years and more. In other countries, I should be a millionaire. But in Madagascar, it's the contrary. Why? Because I don't know if about Madagascar. Madagascar is the third are the fourth poorest country in the world. Although we have in Madagascar, we are the first producer of sapphire. Yeah, of colored stones since 20 years. We go over Australia at this time, and we have the biggest claim of sapphire in the south of Madagascar. The name of the spot is Ilakaka. Everybody in the sector knows it over the world. But about gold, I am especially in gold. Our minister, 1 year or 2 years ago, declared officially that 12 to 15 tons per year are exported illegally from Madagascar. So we can tell that Madagascar is a rich country with a very poor population. My question is this. Since several months, we try to start a business, to work with small-scale miners in gold, and there are millions of small-scale miners in gold in Madagascar. And we try to work with them and then to produce jewels, yes. And the benefits, the part of this benefits will be dedicated to help to fund ICCC Madagascar first, to fund some activities of my compatriot, to send missionary. This is Mami's project, and to help too. Voilà. Yeah. Okay. And so my question is, how can we work together? I speak to the board, the international board, and to Israel representatives. We need to work with all of you to make an action, as you said before, to change Madagascar. Thank you.
You want to start that? Yes. The firstborn is the elder brother.
So thank you for your question. To be honest, most of our activities at the Trade Mission are based in South Africa and less in the region. I know that there is a lot of Israeli companies that tried before to enter to the Madagascar market. Unfortunately, a lot of things are not up to us. It's actually up to you, because it's a matter of regulation. A lot of Israeli companies that also wants to establish their operations in South Africa, and I can tell you that I have an experience from Israeli company that comes from a business of spices, and they want to collaborate with local farmers in Madagascar, actually to open a factory in Madagascar and to employ people over there. Because they were interested in vanilla. So they wanted to establish the operations in Madagascar, and it was very, very hard from the government level to get the regulation, to get the financing, the transaction of the money. So unfortunately, we also want to see it happen, But the truth is that it's a mutual effort that needs also to come from your government and to allow, I mean, you spoke about 15 tons of export that being exported illegally. It's huge. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And unfortunately, a lot of the framework, the business framework that Israeli companies, and I think every company needs, it's validity. It's to understand that eventually, if they are investing their money in the country, eventually they have a stable government, and they have entities and authorities that they can reach out to if something happens. And I think the experience of those Israeli companies wasn't that good in that situation. So unfortunately, I think there's a lot of interest from the Israeli companies to go and to work and to establish connections with the a lot of people in Madagascar, but it also needs to come with intention from the government to establish these operations. And maybe international entities as well that will help to establish and to establish the business sector in Madagascar.
Before, yes.
I just want to speak about private, not public, private collaboration. But
also for private, eventually, think about a company that established an operation or wants to sell some product. Eventually, they need a stable finance system, and they need a court that will protect them. Let's say that there is an agreement that's being signed, so they need a stable court. It's not even about tenders and projects with the government. It's really about business to business. It's really about me doing business with you. And those companies, again, maybe because there is a lack of business framework for those entities to work, they faced a lot of challenges with opening businesses in Madagascar. So I'll be more than happy to discover that I was wrong. And the situation doesn't look like that in Madagascar anymore, and every company that wants to open a business, they can do it easily. But unfortunately, that's the core issue of most of the Israeli companies.
So, Gilberto, Sam, you want to speak? Yeah, wait. Yeah, wait. Sam first. Juicy, and then Jan on the same matter, so don't go. They have some things to put in. Sam, you want me? I think you say you start with the youngest.
You can go.
Okay, thank you. So I just speak as an academic. One of the things people have not understood is that business actually needs an enabling environment to thrive anywhere across the continent. That enabling environment is where we have shied away from, participating. We just think I need to do business, but actually it requires for us to also have a say in that environment. I think Dr. Abo intimated it earlier on. We need to start thinking in systems, and governance is one of those systems. If we do not actually have a say in governance, for example, he mentioned here in South Africa, it only took one Muslim to really mess up the relationship South Africa had with Israel. Where was the Christian voice? Because we do have Christians in cabinet, but they were diluted by just one vocal Muslim. So the same thing applies to Madagascar, in my view, or any other part of the world, where if we do not have a vocal voice that's represented in systems of governance, we're going to do business, but we're going to go nowhere. Because it will take one regulation to just change everything. And that regulation will be done by people who don't have our interests at heart at all. So one of the things we need to overcome here, especially in Africa, is we need to have credible men and women in government. Thank you.
I will say shortly, as an entrepreneur, that we're, of course, as ICC International, we're willing to help to find solutions. That's what the Israeli spirit is. I'm Finnish, we have the same spirit in that sense, the entrepreneurship spirit. There's always a solution. But you need to come with the question and ask for help so that we can help. We can't create an environment of help to questions that are not asked.
Ian, comment.
Simple solution is what International puts up. We have an industry network. We have about 12 different industry now. I think we should put up an industry called mining and minerals.
Yeah.
Connecting the dots locally, regionally, internationally. You're welcome.
I hope somebody is writing summary notes on this, because we are going to implement this in Africa. Oh, sorry.
Afternoon, everyone. Navo, thank you very much for your talk and for your efforts in our country. Really do appreciate it. Question for you. In terms of what Israel needs from Africa and the projects that you guys are working on the ground, right down to localized specific needs, is there a platform that we can engage on as Africans where we can contribute to you and find out exactly what you're doing so that we can contribute there? And if not, what does collaboration look like to get one built?
Great question. This question occupies, I would say, 40% of my day. It's just for you to know, to understand how to establish those partnerships. First of all, we're the point of contact. Where the Trade Mission is basically the official agency by the Ministry of Economy and Industry in Israel, basically to serve as a launchpad for Israeli companies who are interested to explore different business opportunities in the world, and South Africa is one of them. I would say that what I see as my experience as a trade commissioner in South Africa, it's the fact that a lot of Israeli companies are actually looking actively for other markets to pilot their solutions. For instance, I think the easiest one will be agriculture. South Africa is phenomenal. I mean, you can go and you have Limpopo and you have the Western Cape and you have Mpumalanga and you have the Northwest. We're talking about different climates. So the idea that Israeli companies basically can establish their operations in South Africa and at once basically to test their solution together with farmers, so they can also get, a tap into it in innovation and technology. That's one thing that we're trying to basically to restore. It's not easy because as we discussed with the matter of Madagascar, it also depends on enabling environment. I love the term, because that's exactly the idea. Whether the government is supporting international entities, by the way, not specifically Israel, but just international entities, and basically they can support their activity in South Africa. So I would say that most of the partnerships that I would see with South African companies is basically to serve as a partners to Israeli companies that also want to test the technology, so it can come from agriculture, but also for healthcare. Also, another field that I think I'm very excited about is also investments, because the investments basically get for the South African entities a very, direct and very unique access to the ecosystem, so they can see firsthand what's actually happening in Israel and in the innovation. What are the entrepreneurs are working on in the moment, and what we can later on import into the South African market. You can look, for instance, about the banks, right? The largest banks in the continent are actually headquartered here in South Africa. So for an Israeli company that get an investment from whatever bank in South Africa, that means that later on they will get an access not only to the South African market, but to other countries. And with the fact that they're going hand with hand with the bank that invested in them, and they have a mutual interest in succeeding this project. So eventually we're enabling more success stories, not only in South Africa, but also in Angola, in Botswana, in Kenya, and you name it. So I would say that if I will need to think about two pillars or two options for partnerships. That will be that. One is investment, that I think in its turn will also help South Africa in that situation to raise more capital and eventually supporting the economy. That's one. And second, it's the fact that a lot of Israeli companies are actually looking for pilots and how to test their technology. So yes.
Thank you. Please, no, I have to allow a young professional as well. So I will use my authority that both of you, because none of the young people, you will, please come. You can come. Your turn. But we are out of time now, but I will still allow this to, it will not be fair for me just to cut off that one. So that in 5 minutes, if you can do 2 minutes or so, and then 2, then we are done.
Yeah, thank you very much. I had a privilege 25 years ago to join ICCC. Brian Cape was still the president here in South Africa. And one of the book of Gunnar Olsen that I read, one of the things that caught my attention was this vision that he got from big trees and helping small trees to grow. As one is the vision and purposes for the international board then is that how many success stories is there based on that principle of big trees, taking small trees or small business guys and grow them up. And then how does membership in ICCC grow? Because if I look at membership growth, it's always been a big challenge everywhere. So that's to the board, but you don't have to answer it now. Maybe during the sessions it can come out because there's got to be solutions for those specific questions. Thank you very much.
Simon, please.
Thank you for the opportunity. Nava, great presentation. I think for me personally, this is a very teachable moment, and I'm humbled to be in such great presence. Now, as a practical question, maybe even a contentious question. So we have a berry farm that we're running and managing, exporting strawberries and blueberries. Now, our major market was the USA. Because of the trade war and the tariffs, it's become very impractical to then export to the USA. So obviously company management is seeking alternative markets to export to. And I'm so happy to hear that Israel is one of the countries that's importing, such products. Now, due to the current political climate between South Africa and Israel, I'm South African, by the way. Due to the current political climate between South Africa and Israel, what do you think? Can we grow this relationship? Is it impeded by the ICJ, for instance? What are the prospects that you think in the future? What are the future prospects between Israel and South Africa in terms of trade? Thanks.
So first of all, I'll just say that I'm the luckiest person in the embassy because I'm doing everything but political issues. I'm doing the fun thing, which is trade and business. But to answer your question, I really believe in it, and I really see it in my own eyes that eventually business is about people. And with everything happening about the ICJ case, and I know that you apologized about the ICJ case, eventually we're lucky enough to witness a lot of South Africans are very eager in doing business in Israel and to learn more and to engage more. Not that I want to, maybe I need to knock on wood, but nothing has been affected. I mean, obviously there is a lack of understanding about the sentiments of South Africans towards Israel. Obviously that when you open the news and the TV, about, and you're typing like South Africa, so the first thing that you'll see as an Israeli, that South Africa took you to court and South Africa is blaming you in genocide. And that's actually something that as a trade commissioner I need to deal with explaining to the Israeli companies, listen, it's true, this is what the government is doing, but on the other hand, I can tell you that there's a lot of private people and you know, private companies that are actually looking to embrace this innovation. And I think a lot of our work is really to mitigate this, you know, the unknown, and to introduce them what's really happening and reflecting. Not everything is, you know, unicorns and sprinkles and, you know, pink and happy, fun. Obviously, people are being criticized about Israel, and that's okay. I respect that. But it's also important for me as a trade commissioner to reflect the current situation in South Africa to the Israeli companies and vice versa. So that's one thing. And I think that once we're coming from a very objective and very informative place of really explaining what's happening on ground, so people are more willing to discuss and to give it a shot in a way. So that's about business. I mean, to try and answer your question about how I see it, like how to level it up. So first of all, I mean, I really don't want to get into politics, right? Because I think what we're seeing globally in the world right now, as you mentioned, with Trump and with all the, you know, the war between Ukraine and Russia, and obviously the war with Gaza, obviously it affects like all the relationships in the world, and it really depends on which side you are at the map. Again, regardless of the situation with Israel, it's really just, you know, the word just reaching into a point where you really need to understand who are your counterparts in a way. And I think it's forced governments to reassess their strategy in a way. So I would say that it really depends on South Africa and how they are looking at the future and where South Africa, I mean, what South Africa's plan to their economy. I don't think that we saw any major growth in the economy since COVID in a way, because we had the load shedding and then we had the water shedding now and all of that. So definitely that affects the industry. Same with the minerals and the mines. That's one. Second, I would say that from the Israeli perspective, and I said that in the presentation, South Africa remains Israel's largest trade partner. And there is a reason why we're still here. I mean, I think, I will take this opportunity now to speak not as a diplomat, but as Nava, just someone who's standing, you know, as a private person who's standing like in the side and just looking, observing about how things are working. There is a reason why Israel is still here, because there is some things that are happening. There is still, I mean, business activities, and you know, the Jewish community that is very big in South Africa. So there's a lot of, you know, things happening in South Africa that basically speaks from themselves, and I really think that Israel is still here. South Africa remains our largest trade partner. I think the more South Africans will engage more with trading with Israel, we'll be there to serve and to assist. But I would say that the sky is the limit. I mean, we're open for all type of industries, you know. It's really up to how South Africa basically strategize their economy in the coming years.
Thank you very much. So we are wrapping up. Just clap hands for those that have asked the questions, and clap hands to the rest of this team.